Lech Lecha, go forth. Every single day we are faced with the challenge to go forth. Sometimes, though, our going forth is more notable than usual. At the end of last week's Parsha, Avram had lived a number of years in Haran, the land of his father, after having left Ur. This week's Parsha, Lech Lecha, means go forth. And Avram is instructed by God to go forth, especially notably so. Avram is instructed to go forth, to leave the land of his father for quite a new chapter, to start anew. Avram recognizes God, the one that is God, the God of oneness, in such a way as no one before. He clearly trusts God enough to go forth on this journey. Avram, not as a lonely wanderer, but as a purposeful traveler, along with his entourage of his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and his confidant Eliezer, among others, make a fresh start. They step away from their past and begin a grand new future. God instructs them to go to and guides them to get to the land that I will show you. El haaretz asher arecha, to Canaan. On this journey, as on all of our journeys, they face obstacles. There is famine. They temporarily relocate to Egypt. There is the incident with the Pharaoh wanting Sarai. And Avram does err along the way. In the Torah, there is that which is given as laws. And there is that which is told as stories, accounts of what happened, not claiming to be law, not claiming to be right, but there for us to learn from. And that is the case here. And a journey need not always be smooth and easy. What we go through, however, is a part of what makes us who we become. God, though, promises to Avram that he will be a shield to him. Anochi magen lach, such is the origin of the words of our traditional Amidah prayer. Magen Avraham, Abraham's shield. Avram thinks that Eliezer will be his heir, as at such old age he and Sarai have not had their own children. But God tells him, look toward heaven, habeit na hashamayma, and count the stars, uspor hakochavim, so shall be your offspring. Ko yiyeh zarecha. God also tells Avram, V'ata tavo el avotecha v'shalom. You shall go to your fathers in peace. When his time comes, he shall be reunited in peace with his ancestors. Even Avram and Sarai, though, at that point, do not yet have full faith in God. Avram still thinks that Eliezer may be his heir. Sarai has Hagar consort with him to provide an heir. Hagar disrespects Sarai. Sarai mistreats Hagar. Hagar runs away. Our ancestors were human. Their humanity allowed them to make mistakes. It is important to note that even our heroes can be flawed. Being heroic in some ways does not mean being always good and right. It is important to so note that the wrongs of our heroes do not take away from all the good that they do. Sarai did sin by her maltreatment of Hagar. Avram did sin by not intervening to stop such maltreatment. Despite their flaws, however, they do have great potential, which does become quite a great future, and we are but a part of that. Ultimately, God says to Avram, I am Elshadai, I am God, your protector. And God establishes a covenant between him and Avram. Avram is promised that God will keep his end of the covenant, and it will be up to each generation, and now it is up to us, Avram's descendants, to keep our end of the covenant. It is up to us to recognize God, to honor God, to follow God's laws. With the making of this covenant, this agreement between God and Avram and Sarai changed their names. New names are considered to give us a fresh start. The mistakes of our past are said to stay with the old names. Avram becomes Avraham. Sarai becomes Sarah. It is time for a fresh start. Avram and Sarai had courage and commitment to begin a new journey when they left the land of their fathers. Avraham and Sarah began again with the change in their names. They moved beyond their missteps. They were ready to put the past behind them Again, that took courage and commitment. They made a covenant with God, and it is up to us to keep that covenant. We are each on a journey. But do we have the courage? Do we have the commitment? Are we taking the right steps on this journey? Are we taking the right steps to head in the right direction? Are we keeping up our end of the covenant? Are we accepting God in our lives? Are we accepting the Torah as our guidebook to life? Are we accepting the rules on how to live good lives? To accept God's oneness, to be agents of his good, to follow Torah, to be more good, to do more good, to bring more good into this world. Are we ready for and rightly on our journey? Are we ready for the challenge? Do we have the courage and the commitment? Are we ready to go forth? Lech Lecha, let us go forth. This Shabbat Lech Lecha, let us go forth. The Shabbat. Shalom.